Kansas yellow car there in 6th. He had Chevrolets inside and in front of him, Gordon and Johnson, and the Ford of Logano was to head on the inside. Meanwhile, his Toyota teammates all in the front row, Kyle Busch and Denny Hamlin, and here we go.
All right. Ready for 500 laps of short track racing. Boogity, boogity, boogity. Let's go racing, you bunch of hot dogs.
Kyle Busch from the outside won the battle down the straightaway for lap 1, and Jimmie Johnson snuck in the 2nd spot. The bump and run goes all the way to the back.
They got a car spun over here, 30 car, and it looked like, I mean, you wouldn't believe how they bottlenecked up going into that corner, Mike.
That poor boy, every time I talk about somebody high-siding, getting stuck up over the curb, Parker Kliger. We talk about, gee, hope nobody blows an inch. Parker Kliger hit the wall.
Parker got a lot of that action. There were cars just bamming into each other. There was it may have been a 30 car. I didn't see how it started, but it got bottlenecked there, and people were just slamming into each other.
It was like a giant accordion squeezing together.
Yes, sir.
As cars that were trying to get into that corner all got piled up, and Parker Kligerman's race doesn't last a lap. Now watch the 42 of Kyle Larson.
Now we're going off into turn 3 here. And up ahead, you'll see a bunch of cars in front of Kyle Larson. The 23, Menard, the 27, the 13, all of them were checking up. With nowhere to go and just started hammering on each other.
All it took was one driver to check up, and it was an accordion for about 5 or 6 drivers deep.
The cold tires, no grip in the racetrack. Everybody was really tippy-toeing down into that corner. And you can see that Parker got the worst end of the deal in the 30 car.
Jeff Hammond was standing right there.
And guys, the thing is, everything you said is exactly that. The accordion effect, he was right at the end of the line, came in there so high, he wheel hopped down into the corner, hit the back end of the car in front of him, and then he got spun across that curve that we already talked about. He's hung up there right now at the safety workers trying to get him full loose. I don't think the car stands that bad, but he is clearly just stuck on top of the curve. I'm seeing about 3 or 4 drivers that are dragging part of the rear bumper. We saw Austin Dillon, Casey Mears in the 13. There's a lot of them, they have parts and pieces hanging off the back of them.
You know, Larry, we used to come here, we put additional support in the back of the car and the front of the car, so we wouldn't have pieces flying off of it like that. A big roll bar across the back bumper so you could bam into it and not hurt it.
The 33 on pit road, work being done on David Stremmy's car. Now, you can pit during this caution. However, due to the competition caution at lap 40, you cannot add fuel to the car.
I think that's the transponder of the 3 car. I'm not sure if that's not what that is dragging along back there. That's what it looks like, some piece of equipment.
And if so, that would be the device that sends the signal to NASCAR's scoring. Every time that car goes past the start-finish line or one of the scoring loops, you cannot be scored without that in place.
All of those drivers are on pit road, including Casey Mears, Justin Allgaier, Martin Truex Jr., Casey Kane, and Austin Dillon. A lot of them with damage to the rear of the car.
Well, I think we saw at the front of the field, Mike. And go ahead, Steve. What you got, buddy?
And Mike, Darrell, hearing that the 5 of Casey Kane, you see Austin Dillon on pit road, but the 5 of Casey Kane also has some damage. They want to tape up a hole that's just above a duct opening, so trouble early for Casey Kane, the 5.
Well, we're at the track where aerodynamics play the least amount. I mean, the straightaway speeds here are less than they are at any NASCAR track.
Unless I had a part dragging the ground, if I knocked a hole in the nose of my car, you know what? I wouldn't worry about it. You know why? It's just more cooling. Because cooler brakes, cooler engine, let her go, boys.
Point. Under caution at lap 5, here's today's Ford EcoBoost track facts. Martinsville was a charter track of NASCAR where they raced in the very first season. Once NASCAR was born, it's the last one remaining. And the grandfather clock tradition began in 1964 by track owner and promoter H. Clay Earls. Fred Lorenzen drove a Ford to victory that day and was the first driver who got to wind the clock. Krista?
Kyle Larson, a rookie at this track, his crew chief Chris Heroy telling him, yes, we have a little bit of damage. You see it there on your screen, the left rear, but telling him it's going to be okay. We're just going to leave it as is. They decided not to come in. They'll come in, obviously, on that lap 40 competition caution, but telling the rookie we'll be okay.
Thanks, Krista. Let's go back to the start of this race and have a look at how things began to unfold.
That's what I was going to refer to when we went to the pits with Steve. But I know there's a deal here between the two teammates, the 11 and the 18. Figured that out, but what happened after that, Larry?
Well, I think what happened, Jimmy Johnson in that 48 knew what was going on, and he stayed hooked to the rear bumper of that 18, and I think Denny Hamlin was a little too conservative and gave his teammate too much room, and that allowed Jimmy Johnson to jump down in there in the second.
Plus, Johnson had Denny Hamlin at 11 pinned down. He hit that curve a little bit, getting in the corner. Car got a little loose. Johnson was able to get a nice bite up off the corner, and now he's running second.
So Kligerman, who is at the back end of that accordion-style crash, is the car that gets towed to the garage area here in the infield.
You can see a lot of those bars I was talking about that we put in the front of these cars because we know we're going to do a lot of pushing and shoving. But look, everything went over the top of that into the radiator.
During the invocation, the preacher mentioned the passing of Tim Plogger, who was a merchandising manager regionally for Kroger, one of the Speedway sponsor, great member of the Speedway family, and did a lot of the Victory Junction game camp. You want to remember him. And we ask you to show us how you get ready for race day. Let's take a KFC social media pit stop and get a look at how they view KFC from the Honduras. How about that? There you go. Family enjoying the race.
I did a little KFC in this week myself. One right out front out here, not too far from the track.
Was it a chicken and short track racing? That's about as good as it gets.
Yeah, and they are replacing the barrels. Noted racer John Fitch, who passed a year or so ago, was a factory racer for Mercedes and a designer of those barrels filled with sand and dividers. And they attenuated or absorbed impact. You see them in front of bridge abutments on highways all over the country. The big yellow barrels that you see here attribute to the inventiveness of Falls Village, Connecticut's great racer, John Fitch.
That's what an orange cone becomes when it grows up. It's one of those.
But it's really the same principle as a safer barrier because it gives. It has give to it when a driver hits it with the car.
Richard Childress Racing said the damage to the number 3 was just general damage. Did not involve the scoring transponder. As we get ready to line up for the restart, I want to say hi to one of America's great hot rodders and participating sponsor and supplier to NASCAR, Vic Edelbrock, having a tough recovery from back surgery, and kind of want to wish him well and hope that's a speedy recovery. He gets back behind the wheel of his vintage Mustang soon.
It looks like, Kyle said, that inside is where I really wanted to be, and I'm definitely going to be there now with this 48 car to my right.
And I have my teammate Denny Hamlin in the 11 behind
Follow me this time, and we'll be okay.
Busch, Johnson, Hamlin and Kenseth, Logano, Gordon, Edward Stewart, Danica Patrick, Clint Bowyer. There's your top 10 as we go back to green.
One thing I like about the restarts here, Mike, is that concrete, at the end of the concrete, you know it's time to go.
For the second time in a row, Denny Hamlin in the 11 did not get going on that start.
Car's a little wobbly on that real low air pressure. The car looks like it's just moving around a little bit. It'll come alive here in a second.
He's fighting Jeff Gordon for fourth, and Danica Patrick gets to the inside. Now it's Bowyer way up on the outside, and along with the 24 of Jeff Gordon.
Darrell, contrary to my belief, the outside groove actually has some decent grip right now.
Well, Larry, there's no grip anywhere.
Yeah.
So it's pretty balanced right now. There's no rubber down on the racetrack, so you can go wherever the other guys aren't right now.
That was Clint Bowyer's front bumper cam. And Gordon closes off Denny Hamlin and secures the 4th spot. Hamlin 5th, Logano 6th, Edwards 7th, Bowyer, Patrick, and Stewart. And a little further back, battling hard, Vickers and Biffle for the 14th spot, and the pack behind him. 2nd place. Here comes Kenseth.
I think Matt was too much talking about the brake lap there. I don't think he's too much worried about anything. He's just worried about how long it takes him to get to the front. Ain't got him a move right now.
Tony Stewart, Danica Patrick teammates fighting for 9th. Jamie McMurray looking for racing room behind them.
Really nice run by Danica to qualify in the top 10, and